Welcome to the Bold and Determined podcast with your man Victor Pride. And right here on the podcast for winners, we're bringing you motivation and mindset for the killers and real dealers, the makers and the takers, the winners and the grinners, and goddamn, even the sinners too. Let's get started. Well, hello, my friendly friends. Welcome back to another edition of the Bold and Determined podcast with your man, Victor Pride. What do you say we just jump right into it today and get to answering the questions that you want to know about? Jinoj asks, how do you raise your daughter properly in the modern world? And also, what can a person do to save a sister who is indoctrinated into Western ways and believes in feminism and such? Ooh, this is a great question, and I'm not sure that I have a real great answer for you, but here it is. In general, I don't believe you can save a sister who is indoctrinated into the cult, and I don't believe that you can raise a daughter properly in the modern world. Let me explain. Our modern world, our modern Western world has been taken over by degeneracy. It has been infiltrated and subverted at a very deep level by degeneracy. So our entire culture, it's gone. It's subverted. It's flipped upside down. It's no longer what it should be. It's the complete opposite of what it should be. So anybody who tries to explain to a normal person in the normal culture what is good and what is bad, to that person, they're going to seem crazy. If you are to say to somebody, it's not good to be on the birth control pill. It's not good to have random flings. It's not good to wait for marriage. It's not good to wait to have children. It's not good to focus on a career instead of a family. If you say this to somebody in the modern culture, they're going to think you're crazy. Even though they're the ones who have flipped the natural order, they're going to think that you are the crazy one. You know why they're going to think you are the crazy one? Because their entire culture, their entire media tells them, be degenerate, be more degenerate, don't have children. A career will help you, but family is slavery. But working a job, that's freedom, yeah. So they've been indoctrinated into this degeneracy cult from the time they were babies. Even the mothers, even the grandmothers, even the faggot fathers play into this and support this. They say, don't get married out of school. Go to college. Get a good job. That'll be much better for your future. And everything that we teach our daughters, everything that we teach the children in the United States does the opposite of what it should. It does not help them. All it does is hurt them in the long term, in the long run. If a woman doesn't have children at a young age, she has missed out. And in her later years, she's going to regret that very, very much. When her maternal instincts are in super duper overdrive, but she's too old and too dried up to have children, what is left but cats and wine? So, how can you save a sister who is indoctrinated into this cult when your sister's not going to listen to you? She's going to think you're the weird one because everybody around her is a degenerate just like her. The best thing you can do in a case like this is take your sister to another country and show her how other people in other countries operate, how they act in a natural manner, and how the people in other countries smile and have big families and laugh. Because I tell you, there's one thing missing from the United States. That's joy. There is no joy in the people in the United States. There is no joy whatsoever. For a very good reason. The entire culture has been subverted, flipped upside down. What was once happy is now sad. And what was once sad is now happy. What was once a spinster, somebody who did not have children and lived to regret it, is now celebrated. Yeah! You did a great thing. You went and became a slave for a career instead of had children. What a great thing you did. Yeah. In the past, A square was a good, strong, solid man with good, strong, solid values. In the past, calling somebody a square was a compliment. Today, a square, somebody who doesn't drink alcohol, use narcotics, somebody who has money, who has their money right, who eats right, who cares about family. This person is called a square. And it became what was once a good, strong thing became a boring thing. Ooh, that's boring. Ooh, benefiting the human race, that's boring. You should do drugs and have random sex. So everything has been flipped upside down. Everything, absolutely everything was flipped upside down. And the most susceptible to this brainwashing are the females. They have the bigger group instinct, the bigger herd instinct. Whatever other people tell them to do, they will do. What one person tells them to do, they will not do. But what the entire culture is telling them to do, they will do it. And they'll do it not happily, but they'll pretend to be happy about it. They'll pretend to be happy about it. How can you undo? United States has the greatest advertising propaganda in the history of the world. The strongest advertising media propaganda in the history of the world. How can you undo that? It starts when the children are 5 years old and the parents orphan the children to state-run facilities so that the parents can go work their shit jobs and they leave their children alone to be indoctrinated into this cult. So if you want to blame anybody in the world for the indoctrination, don't blame the Jews, don't blame the government, don't blame the schools, blame your own parents because they were the first line of defense. They orphaned, United States parents orphaned their children to be indoctrinated into this crazy upside down cult. So how could you possibly raise a daughter in the modern world and have her turn out anything but upside down? You can't. You simply cannot. You cannot raise a daughter in this modern Western world and expect her to be anything other than a serious degenerate. If you have daughters, there are a couple things you must do. Number one, you've got to homeschool her. If you orphan her to the indoctrination facilities called preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, and the biggest indoctrination facility of all, university, if you orphan your children, what the fuck you think is going to happen to them? Number one, you're going to have no say in her life when she's older. When you orphan your children, you don't get to have a say in their life later. You orphan them. The government, the media, the television became their real parents. The teachers at the school who teach them upside down facts. Those are your children's real parents when you orphan them to schools. If you want to raise a daughter properly, you must actually raise her, which is what people in America don't do. They outsource everything about raising their children to the people who indoctrinate their children. They outsource everything. They give up everything. I don't want to raise my children. You do it. You raise my children. I can't be bothered. I've got to go work. That's what parents in the United States do. That's what they do. If you want to be a real parent, then you must be a real parent. You must actually raise the children yourself. And in the United States, this is going to be very, very difficult because you're going to do it alone. The only people in the United States who raise children properly are the religious groups like the Amish or the Mennonites. I was in America 9 months. Guess how many females I saw wearing dresses? Zero. Except for a group of Mennonites in the mountains of New Mexico. And I was shocked when I saw these people because they didn't fit in. Let me back up a little bit. In China, the men and the women dress the same. And a lot of American people make fun of that because they wear the same pantsuits. You can barely tell the men and the women apart from the way they dress because they wear the same damn pantsuits, the same hats. American people like to make fun of that. Well, guess what, dipshits? in America, the men and the women dress exactly the same. They wear jeans and a t-shirt, jean shorts and a t-shirt, tennis shoes. The men and the women dress exactly the same. And this is not good for people. Women must dress like women. Men must dress like men. In America, everybody dresses like a man. But when I was in the mountains fishing, I saw these females wearing dresses, and they weren't even pretty. They were not very attractive. They were very redneck-ish. They were not very attractive, but I was drawn to them because they were feminine. They had feminine ways. And even though they were far less attractive, well, they weren't far less attractive than American women, because American women have gone very, very ugly. They're not attractive at all. But these Mennonite women were also not attractive. That's neither here nor there. The point is, I was drawn to them like a magnet because they were dressed like females. They acted like females. They were cooking food and preparing food, and they were wearing dresses and supporting the men folk. So if you actually want to raise a daughter in America, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult unless you belong to one of these fringe groups like the Amish or the Mennonites, because you're going to be doing it alone, and you're going to have the world's strongest advertising arm against you. Because who do women look up to? Who do young women look up to? Hollywood people, singers, degenerates, all of them. All of these people get to a position because they are willing to subvert your children. They're able to make so much money in Hollywood and music because they provide the subversion. They're not there to teach your children right from wrong. They're there to teach you the opposite, that wrong is right and right is wrong. That's what's going on in the United States. A subversion, an inversion. And how is it possible? Is it possible that you can raise a daughter in the modern world, in this inversion, and she comes out right? It's not possible. You will have to leave the land of the degenerates. You will have to leave Sodom and Gomorrah, and you will have to go somewhere where people actually respect family. And that's going to be very difficult to find if, say, you are a white man trying to raise a family of white people, because most whites in this world are becoming more and more degenerate. Now, you might be able to find Eastern Europe. You might be able to find patches of places here and there. It's going to be very difficult, is my point, to raise a daughter in the modern world. Probably the best thing you can do if you're an American is to buy some land somewhere and take your chances out there. The point is, it's going to be very, very difficult because you have everything against you. The entire family is going to be against you. Probably your own parents are against you. Probably your neighbors are against you. One thing you very must do: keep your children away from screens. Don't let them see computer screens. Don't let them see phone screens. Keep them away from the television. The television was the greatest subversion invention in the history of the world. Because what did parents do when the television was invented? They stopped raising their children. They put them down in front of the television, and the television told them what to do. Now we have a society that is completely upside down because you, the parents, outsource the education of their children to the television, to the schools, to the media, to the pop stars, to the movie stars, to Hollywood. You let the degenerate faggots of Hollywood raise your children. Well, no shit. They turned out to be psycho when they grew up. Who could have predicted that? So how do you raise a daughter properly in the modern world? Don't. Don't be a part of the modern world. Opt out of the modern world. Just say no to all of the quote-unquote pleasures and comforts of the modern world and do things the way your ancestors did them. That way is the hard way. If you want to do it the easy way, you're gonna have a little psycho grow up. If you want to do things the hard way, you're gonna have a good person grow up. So if you want to raise daughters in the modern world, do it the hard way. Don't do it the easy way. RH asks, speaking of marriage, how do you tell if a woman could bring good luck to you and your family? What are the hints? Ooh-wee. Well, look at her family for starters. Look at her mother and father. If her mother and father are separated, she's got to go. She's got to go because she's going to be what they are generally. So if the mother and father are separated, they don't have a good relationship, they don't have a loving relationship, then that's what she knows. That's what she saw, and that's what is embedded in her brain from a young age. Just leave if things get bad. Just leave. Just break apart families if you get bored, if you want to go do whatever. Just break up families, no problem. So if mother and father are divorced, cut the bitch loose. One mistake that men make so much is they marry a female just because they think she's pretty, and they disregard any other traits that she may have. This is going to come back to bite you in the ass. If a female is just pretty, but she doesn't have any other qualities that are going to make her a good wife or a good mother, guess what? You just bought yourself a divorce, and you're going to be supporting this bitch because once you thought she was pretty. Guess what? After a couple years seeing her without makeup, she's not that pretty anymore. None of them are. You know what? First of all, most of them are pretty because of makeup and surgery. Look at the bitch without makeup and see how pretty she actually is. It's a disguise. Makeup is a disguise. Look at her without makeup to see what she actually looks like. And do this so that you are not enamored by her beauty, so that you are not bamboozled by her disguise, so that you are not bewitched by her trickery. See what she looks like without makeup, so that you are not so enamored with her. Because there's nothing to be enamored about. It's makeup. It's surgery. That's how modern women become so attractive. It's fake. It's fake. Don't be bamboozled by that. So don't marry a female just because she's pretty and you want to have sex with her. Number one, the sex stops when you get married. Ask any man. It's so beyond stupid, these men who get married because they think they're going to have steady sex. Have you never seen a married couple? Have you never heard a married couple speak? They don't have sex after a few years. They don't. So getting married to a pretty female for sex is a recipe for a divorce. What you must look for is a female who wants to have a family. If the bitch is only concerned about her wedding, if she wants to spend a ton of money on the wedding, cut the bitch loose. It should be that she wants to be a mother. That's what you want. That is the only reason in the history of the world to get married to a female. It's because she is going to born happy, healthy children for you. That is the only reason you should ever get married. If you get married for any other reason other than to have children, put a bullet in your head because you are a fucking dummy. The only reason, the only value that the female has is her womb. It's not her beauty, which is fake. It's not her pussy, which is going to stretch out. It is her womb. It is her ability to bring life into this world. And if the modern female, if you are trying to marry a modern female, make sure she's not on the birth control pill because that damages her womb. It damages her ability to bring life into this world. So that's what you must look for. A female who wants to be a mother, not somebody who wants to have a marriage, a wedding, not somebody who wants to show off her wedding ring on social media, not somebody who wants to spend all of your money on a wedding, somebody who wants to be a wife and a mother. If she wants a career, cut the bitch loose. Her value is her womb. She can bring life into this world. If she chooses not to bring life into this world by being on the birth control pill or having a career instead of a family, she is damaged beyond repair. And in fact, she is evil. And I'll explain to you why she is evil. The word evil is the opposite of life, of living. Evil is literally the opposite of live. Live spelled backwards is E-V-I-L. Evil. A total inversion of the natural order, a total inversion of life. That's what evil is. So any female who is having sex on the birth control pill is evil because she is anti-life. Any female who chooses to have a career instead of choosing to bring life into this world is evil by very definition. The opposite of life, the opposite of live. She must want to be a mother first and foremost. So that's how you know she's going to bring you luck. It's not a matter of luck. It's not a matter of looks. It's a matter of her wanting to be a mother. That's going to be very difficult to find in the modern world because, like I said, the modern world is upside down and inverted. And every modern female thinks, ugh, motherhood, that's icky. Ugh, icky. Ugh. It's better to get a 4-year degree in feminist studies and go be a journalist and make $25,000 a year. Yeah, that'll make me happy. Instead of hearing, hi, mommy. Mommy. Hello, mommy. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, what a terrible life that would be, wouldn't it? So pick somebody who wants to be a mother. If she doesn't want to be a mother, kick the bitch loose. She's damaged. She's gone. Let her go. It's going to be very difficult to find, but when you find it, you have found your treasure. John asks, Victor, what are the greatest virtues modern man can possess? It doesn't matter if the man is modern or if the man is prehistoric. The virtues of a man are always exactly the same. Truth, honor, integrity, strength, respect. All of the values that we put on square men, those are the true values of a man. A man who keeps his word. A man who doesn't tell lies, even in the face of adversity. A man who will not tell politically correct lies is a man worthy of respect. A man who will tell politically correct lies is a man worthy of contempt. This is called logos. Logos is the word of God, the principle of divine reason, the ability to use your reason and your fairness and your logic and not get emotional about nonsense like equality and fake things like that. Those things are all fake and they are used to subvert you. They are used to subvert the natural order. And as a man, you must be able to see these things as they are. As a man, you must be able to say yes and no. If you cannot say yes and mean yes, and if you cannot say no and mean no, you are not a man. You are not a man. A man will say yes when the answer is yes and no when the answer is no. This is even in the Holy Bible. Matthew 5:37. Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. That is in your Holy Bible for all you Christians. That is in your Holy Bible who think that, because Jesus said, turn the other cheek and love your enemy, we've got to bend over and get butt fucked by everybody and let them do anything they want. And we can't say yes or no because it's not politically correct. Fuck that. Fuck that. You must be strong. If the entire world is against you, you still must have the ability to say yes when yes means yes and no when no means no. If you don't have that ability, you deserve to get butt fucked, like all of the other degenerates in our society. Paul asks, Dear Victor, a few questions from a thoughtful long-time reader. You say elites cannot destroy the natural order, which will always be the same 5,000 years ago and 5,000 years from now, and thus that the races will be distinct and enjoy themselves and prefer their own. Then you say the Middle East in 2,000 years alone has changed into a mongrelized state of affairs with people like the Afghanis and Iraqis who all look mixed and there is no white, black, yellow. They're just brown people with a combination of Aryan and non-Aryan features. Their individual traits have been mixed in the civilization marketplace of the Middle East. Why do you think the elites' plan to turn us into a mongrelized race will not work? Great question. And we can look at the past to predict the future. Now, it is obviously a fact that many places have been mongrelized, such as the Middle East, such as South America, etc. And mongrelized means that races mix together and they lose what made the races special in the first place, and they become easier to control. So there is a clear, obvious plan to mongrelize the white race to make everybody brown so that they are easier to control. I don't know if that really actually makes them easier to control, because the Middle East does not seem super easy to control, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, we can look at the past to predict the future. The mongrelized races of South America, for example, they came from a different stock of whites than the whites they're currently trying to mongrelize. The whites that they're trying to mongrelize today are in Western Europe, United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. Those whites are what we can call Anglo-Saxon whites or Nordic whites. And those whites are a little bit different than the whites that were mongrelized into South America. In South America, the whites came from Portugal and Spain. They were Portuguese and they were Spanish. We can call them Mediterranean whites. And the Mediterranean whites have a very different, they have less of a natural instinct to not mix their race. So they are more prone to race mixing. So when the Spanish took over South America, the men there, the conquistadors, the conquerors, they took local wives, they had families, and over time they mixed together in what you have now in South America, some mongrelized races. But even in places like South America, the races still mix with their own. The Indians with the pure Aztec blood or the pure Mayan blood mix with each other. The high caste ones with more white blood mix with each other. So even in mongrelized races, you cannot stop the power of nature. You cannot break the laws of nature. Races will always mix with their own, always and forever. Even the mongrelized ones will always mix with the ones who are closest to them. But there is a different group of whites that we can call the Anglo whites, the Anglo-Saxon whites, or the Nordic whites. These are the ones who came from, say, England, Ireland, Germany, etc., and they founded United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They went to South Africa. And these places did not become mongrelized, whereas South America did. When they came to North America, there were already brown people living here. There were Indians living in North America already, just as there were Indians living in South America. So why did South America become mongrelized and North America did not? It is because the Nordic races or the Anglo-Saxon races have they have more of a revulsion to race mixing. They don't like race mixing very much, and that's still true today. We've got North America, United States and Canada was not naturally white. Now it is mostly white. We've got Australia, which was not naturally white. Now it is mostly white. Even the Boer farmers in South Africa, they're still mostly white. These people, even though they lived in foreign lands, they did not mix. They did not mix for many hundreds of years. So these people have a revulsion to race mixing, and they still do to this very day. Even though the propaganda is shoved down your throat, anytime you turn on the TV and you see a family, it's a black father and a white mother, or something like this, or a black mother and a white father. You don't see white families on television because they want to program into you, race mix, yeah, become all brown, forget who you are, yeah, kill your own race. So you see this everywhere in magazines, television, movies, etc. And if you see a white family on television, the father is usually a bumbling retard, a bumbling buffoon. The point is you cannot subvert people who do not want to be subverted. So even though you will get several people who will miscegenate, who will race mix and have mixed race children, I believe the majority will not do it. And the funny thing about this is that the people who we call the most right-wing, the people who we call the right wing, the Nazis, they usually have interracial marriages. People like Alex Jones. Alex Jones married a Jew. Bill Cooper had a Chinese wife. Gavin McInnes has an Indian wife. Owen Benjamin has a Mexican wife. Mike Cernovich has an Iranian wife. That degenerate faggot Milo has a black husband. So the funny thing is, their propaganda is working. Their programming is working, but on the people we wouldn't think it would work on. It's always the racist people who have different colored wives. And actually, if you spend any time with the ultra liberals, the white ultra liberals, you're going to find a couple shocking things. Number one, you're going to find that the white ultra liberals do not race mix. They do not race mix. I've seen these people all over Southeast Asia, and that they'll be white with dreadlocks and these baggy tie pants. And, hey, man, yeah, man, everybody's the same, man. These people do not race mix. They do not. They are the ones. It's the crazy white liberals who are having white children today. It's those people who are having white children. And it's those same people who are trying to bring white traditions back. They're the ones trying to make, ancient kombucha tea, or trying to bring back ancient beer recipes, or trying to do all this craft stuff. They're the ones trying to bring tradition back. So, number one, we should not be fighting with these people. We should not be fighting with each other. But we should not be fighting with people because they're liberals, because it is the liberals who are having white children. It is the liberals who go out and live on farms and homeschool their children and grow their own food and raise their own food. That's the crazy thing. It's the liberals doing that. The white, hey man, everybody's the same liberals are having white families, white children, going out and living on farms, opting out of the system. And they're the ones having the white children. And the people who you're a racist. You're a racist. Those are the people race mixing. So a very funny thing there, a detour we just took, but a very funny thing. So will the plan to mongrelize us work? It will work a little bit, but there are always going to be white people, because white people have a natural revulsion to mixing their race. And if you take a glass of milk, if you take a big glass of milk and you put just a little drop of chocolate in there, that milk becomes chocolate milk. Even though it's 95% white, if you put 5% chocolate in there, it becomes chocolate milk. So white people are very keenly aware of this, and it is naturally in them. And it's going to take some very, very deep and strong programming to kill that. And even if all the programming in the world, you cannot overcome nature. In the end, human nature always prevails. Human nature will always win. It will never lose. JS asks, what should a young adult who just got out of teenage do as a rite of passage? In ancient culture, boys would go out into the wild to fend for themselves and come back as men. What should a 19-year-old do today to become a real man? Do exactly the same thing. If you're a 19-year-old man today, go out and live in the wild for a week or two, or a month, or 6 months, or a year. Go out. Go do some camping, fishing, hunting. Get out of the degenerate cities. Go and live in the wild, just like the Indian boys would do in the past. Go on a vision quest, actually. And if you don't want to go camping, if you don't want to go fishing, fine. Go visit another country, because it's going to open your eyes. It's going to give you a real surprise. When you go to visit another country, you're in for a shock. Because this country you thought was so free, the land of the free, everything's free. Oh, we have freedom and other people don't. You're going to be real fucking shocked when you find out that you live in an open air prison and other people have more freedom than you do. Other countries are more free than the United States. The propaganda is very strong in the United States, and everybody in the United States thinks that's the only free country in the world and nobody else has freedom. Well, when you leave, you're in for a real fucking shock. Listen, in the United States, a cop can arrest you and take you to a cage, lock you in a cage, because you crossed the street. In America, that's called jaywalking. In the rest of the world, that's called crossing the street. And in the rest of the world, the cops are not going to come and beat you and tase you because you crossed the fucking street. You have to understand what's going on in your world. And the only way you understand what's going on in your world is that you go and visit and see other worlds and see how other countries act and see how other places are. It is only then that your mind opens and you think, oh, things are way worse in America than I thought. C. Roy asks, what is the best piece of advice your mother gave you? My mother gave me the best piece of advice that is exactly the same advice that my grandfather gave me. My grandfather on his deathbed, his dying words to me, and something my mother told me probably 500 times. Ready for it? don't get married. Now, I realize that seems like it's a contradiction. I say, on one hand, I say you should have a family and build a family, build a life for yourself, have children. On the other hand, I say don't get married. Well, don't confuse the two. Marriage is a contract with the government, and the bitch can break it at any time, and you'll be forced to pay her if you're a U.S. citizen. Marriage, the contract with the government, is a new thing in the history of the world. Before we had to sign a contract with the government, what, we just didn't have children? We couldn't have families if we didn't sign a contract with the government? Of course we can have families without having marriage. And marriage is like putting a pair of handcuffs on and giving your wife the key. That's what it is. So, having seen basically every marriage fall apart, in the United States I've seen pretty much every marriage fall apart. All of them fall apart. And people still get married and they still pick the wrong wife over and over and over again. People even get married 4 and 5 times. It's ridiculous. If you are going to get married, which understand that it is a contract with the government, it's not a contract with your wife, dumb fuck. It's a contract with the government. That's what marriage is. You could still have a family. You could still opt out of the system. And remember when I said you must opt out if you want to raise a proper family? Maybe try opting out in all ways. And don't sign any contracts with the government. They give other people power over you and give you nothing in return. As a man, there is no benefit for you getting married in the United States. There is not one benefit for a man to get married in the United States. Not a single one. Jacob asks, animals do not act on logic. They act on instinct and on what their parents taught them. How did the first animal of its kind learn what would be taught to each new generation? Does God have something to do with it? That's a great question, and it's something we really cannot know. It's a lot like the question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Suppose there was a first animal. How would the animal know what to do? How would it know what to eat? How would it know how to act? The only way that it would know is if instinct was programmed into it by the programmer, by the creator, by the architect, by God, whatever you want to call it. So if indeed there was a first animal, how would it know? It must be inside of it. It must be its own intuition. It must be its own logos, its own connection with God. And this is what we talk about when we talked about logos earlier, the traits of the great man. This is all instinct in us, and it has to be advertised out of us. We have to be exposed to propaganda and 12 years of schooling to kill the inner instinct and do everything the opposite manner. Well, you cannot. Animals don't watch television, so their instinct can never go away. So the instinct of the animal is naturally born in it. It's not that one animal learned how to eat and then taught the other animal, and then those animals taught each animal after them. It is inborn in all animals because they have a connection to the divine creator, as all of us do. Children, as we know, 4 or 5-year-old children are much more natural than adults who have gone to school and severed their connection. Basically, when we go to school, we sever our connection with the divine. We sever our connection with God, and we learn things that are fake. School is not about teaching you. It is about removing your natural instinct and placing it with junk. Subversion, inversion. That's what school is. And people who don't go to school have natural instincts. People that I've met in the mountains in Thailand and Vietnam and places like this, they're so much more natural. And they have a much greater connection to nature. They have a much greater connection to even God than we do. And we like to think that, Asians don't know anything about God. They just worship Buddha. That's not a real God. And they don't even believe in God. That is so utterly ridiculous. All people in the world believe in gods and goddesses. All people. And I found that in Vietnam, which is supposedly an atheist country or a Buddhist country, they believe in God. They believe they call it Mom of the Earth. That's what they believe in. And they have other gods here and there. And they pray to Mom of the Earth. And to them, Buddha Buddha is not some man who lived 2,500 years ago. Buddha is a god. Just like to us, Jesus is a god. To them, Buddha is a god. So I don't know what that has anything to do with anything, but it's fun. Joey asks, Vic, what do you do when you get lonely? I don't get lonely. I love being alone these days. Since I've gone into monk mode, and let me back up. Throughout most of my time on B&D, I've not been alone. I've not lived alone. I've lived with a significant other for years and years and years and years and years, many years. But recently, I really like being alone. So I don't get lonely. I would suggest if you are feeling lonely, I would suggest you buy the Monk Mode ebook. Read it and follow it. Because Monk Mode did a couple of things for me. It made me really enjoy my own company. Made me really enjoy being by myself and giving myself time to think my own thoughts and do my own thing. And that probably sounds a lot like the eat, pray, love, eat, laugh, love, whatever the fuck that shit is, where the women go off and don't get married and all that. But I feel great being alone. I don't really like being around people, if I'm being 100% honest. I like people sometimes. Most of the time, I don't really. So I enjoy being alone. What I do, I go out during the day. I spend time with people during the day. At night, I like to spend my nights alone. Another thing that Monk Mode did for me, our society is degenerate in such a way that we are sex obsessed. Sex obsessed. We're sex freaks. And all the white people who go to Southeast Asia, you can look at all the white people, all the white men who go to Southeast Asia and see very clearly, bunch of fucking sex freaks. Except for the liberals. The liberals usually bring their own girlfriends with them and they hang out with their own. But the single white travelers who go to Thailand, for example, are just disgusting, despicable sex freaks. There's a good reason for that. That has been advertised to us. It is a reversal of the natural order. If you watch documentaries of all natural people, they are not sex obsessed in any way. They might have statues with erections or statues with a female with big tits or whatever. These are fertility, good luck things. They're not sex obsessed. It's totally unnatural to be sex obsessed because in the natural world, when you have sex, there is a consequence of that sex. And the consequence is you bring life into this world. You bring children into this world. When you eliminate any possibility of children, well, guess what happens? People become sex freaks. They become obsessed with sex. They become sex perverts because when you have sex, there is a natural reaction. You bring life into this world. There's a consequence. But when the bitch is on the pill, when you're practicing sodomy, when you're wearing condoms, there's no possibility she's going to get pregnant. So guess what? You can never be fulfilled. In the modern world, you can never be fulfilled when you have sex. Never. So it's like eating sugar. You can never be fulfilled by eating sugar. You have to drink, you have to eat more and 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 more. You will never be fulfilled eating sugar. It is junk. It is poison. In the same way, in the modern world, you will never be fulfilled having sex when you remove the consequence of that sex. When you remove bringing life into this world, you can never be fulfilled. Add to that, they give you free pornography. Pornography costs money to create. In the past, you had to go rent a videotape for $60 or $80. Today, it's free and abundant. Why is that? Why is that? Pornography is free and abundant because they don't want you to have children. They want you to jerk off and waste your seed at home alone and not bring life into this world. That's what they want. They want you to not have children, and if you do have children, they want those to be mongrelized children. That's why they give you free porn. That's why they make you sex obsessed. That's why they give you the birth control pill, abortion, condoms, education. They want you to be as unnatural as possible. So in regards, what do I do when I get lonely? I don't get lonely. Brandon asks, Victor, do you have any advice on removing or getting acne scars on the face, especially the cheek area? I don't have any advice on that because I never had acne myself. However, I will touch on acne a little bit. Acne is a result of the food you are eating. Acne is showing you that the food you are eating is toxic and you should stop eating it. So if you have acne, stop eating the food you're eating. If you have acne, I really recommend you go on the carnivore diet, cut out all carbohydrates from your diet, and just eat meat. Meat is the most natural food for man, especially for European men who evolved in a glacier climate, in an ice climate where there were no plants to eat. 15,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, there were no plants for our people to eat. There were game animals. That's what we ate. That's why we became strong. That's why we are who we are today, because of what we ate. When the ice melted, we could start farming. This only started happening 10,000 years ago. So all of the farm foods that we eat today, they're not natural to us. We didn't eat them for tens of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. We didn't eat them. Now we're eating them and we're getting acne, we're going bald, we're getting cancer, we're getting diabetes. Stop eating the fake food. Start eating the meat. Let the toxins flush out of your system. Acne will go away if you eat the right food, if you eat the right diet for you, for your body type. Leo Sinclair asks, "Hi Vic, whenever I am trying to screw around with girls and go out, my calls never get returned. Whenever I'm only 3 or 4 days into focused work or monk mode, my phone cannot stop ringing. Girls want what they cannot have. If you chase a girl, she's going to run. If you run away from a girl, she's going to chase you. As simple as that. It's always the same thing. I notice that when I'm in the country for 30, 60 days, I seem to not meet anybody until a day before I'm leaving. Then like all these people come and want to meet me and all these girls want to come and hang out. And it's like, what the hell, man? I was here 30 days, just normal, nothing. And then the day before I leave, all these things come in. The universe wants what it can't have. So simple as that. When you are focused on doing other things, people can sense that and they want to be around you. They are attracted to you. But when you put all your focus on them, they don't want that. There's a funny thing. In America, if somebody asks you if you're busy, you've got to say yes. You can't say, no, I'm not busy, because that makes you look stupid. It makes you look like you've got nothing to do. It makes you look like nobody wants you. But if you pretend to be busy, if you say, yeah, I'm so busy, then people become attracted to you. So if you are a foreigner traveling to America, remember that. If somebody asks you if you're busy, say, yeah, I'm real busy. I'm super busy. Why? What's up? Even though it's a lie, you've got to tell these little white lies to fit in, I guess. So Pitan asks, "Hi Vic, how do you deal with untrustworthy friends? Should we ever give second chances in life? How do you deal with untrustworthy friends? Give them a boot to the ass, kick them out the door, shut the door, lock the door. Don't have anything to do with them ever again. Why would you ever have untrustworthy friends in the first place? With untrustworthy friends, who needs enemies? Don't deal with untrustworthy friends. This seems so blatantly obvious. If you can't trust somebody, don't have anything to do with them. If you cannot do a handshake deal with somebody and trust that they're going to do what they said they're going to do, don't have anything to do with them. Be that in business, in friendship, in relationship, in marriage. Kick them the fuck out if they're not trustworthy." Joe asks, "Hey Vic, it seems that all great men had mentors that were vital to their success. Alexander the Great had Aristotle, who had Plato, who had Socrates, and so on. Did you personally have any mentors that helped you achieve entrepreneurial success? And how would a young man go about finding a high-quality mentor in today's world with regards to entrepreneurship?" Yeah, I did have mentors. I did. I would say probably the biggest mentor I had was a man named Napoleon Hill, who died long before I was born. He mentored me through his great book, Think and Grow Rich. And actually, I've probably received 10,000 emails from men who said that I was their mentor. So in our world, we don't actually have to meet somebody to learn from them, because we have the benefit of writing, books, articles. We have the benefit of hearing their voice directly on the radio or in audio. We have the benefit of seeing them in video. So in today's world, you can actually have many, many mentors. You are not limited to the people you know in your area. I never had a personal mentor. I never basically knew anybody. I only knew very few people who were doing something on their own. When I was trying to come up, I just knew maybe one person who was doing anything. And I relied on books. Donald Trump was one of my mentors with his great book, The Art of the Deal. Napoleon Hill was one of my mentors with his great book, Think and Grow Rich. Tim Ferriss was one of my mentors with his great book, The 4-Hour Workweek. So all of my mentors wrote books. As simple as that. I never had anybody in the real world mentor me because, first of all, who does what I do? There's no other person in the world who did what I did. If you want to be a true original, how exactly are you going to find somebody to mentor you when what you want to do has never existed? Now, if you want to go into some field that is already exists and you want to learn from the best, that's great. I highly recommend that. But for me, there was nobody. I had to take bits and pieces from a lot of different people because what I wanted to do didn't fit 100% with this man and didn't fit 100% with that man. So I just took from everybody I could, and I built what I have today just by the benefit of books, basically. Benjamin asks, Uncle Vic, what is your take on pathological narcissism? I hear that term bandied about constantly, and I do not take it seriously. I also do not take it seriously. It is pushed out constantly. Narcissism is real, and that's totally obvious in our smartphone culture. But here's a tip for you. The people who accuse other people of being pathological narcissists are the narcissist. It's a projection. It is always a projection. So if somebody, and you'll notice that these people always have dark energy about them. Everybody that accuses people of being a narcissist, they have super dark, nasty, negative energy about them. That's for a reason. They are the narcissist and they are projecting. Basically, every insult you give to somebody is actually a projection of you. It's always a projection because we know ourselves, but it's not possible really to know other people. So we think that if we're narcissists, taking selfies all the time, that other people must be narcissists too. And we think that because that insult would hurt us, if we're a narcissist, then it will hurt other people too. So I've had 1,000 people call me a narcissist on Bold and Determined. It means nothing to me. I couldn't care less. But it's always a projection. Insults are always a projection. And there are two types of people in the world. There are people who say the truth, and there are people who say the opposite of the truth. And the people who project these things say the opposite of the truth. This is the opposite of logos. Remember, we talked about the traits of the great men. The great men say it like it is. They say reality. The other people say the opposite of reality. So if somebody is a narcissist, they say the opposite of that reality, and they accuse you of being a narcissist. So anybody who accuses somebody else of being a narcissist is not a great man or not a great lady, because they are projecting themselves out into the world and they're not speaking the truth. How could you know if somebody else is a narcissist, especially online? And it's thrown about so much that it's so obvious that because of our culture, our toxic culture, it encourages narcissism. These people are not born narcissists. They're just encouraged to become narcissistic in our culture. They become narcissistic, and then they push people away with their nasty narcissism and their dark energy. And they accuse the people they push away of being narcissists when it's actually them. So that's that. Stay away from people who accuse other people of being narcissists or accuse other people of any kind of psychological element, because what they're saying to you is, I'm a narcissist. Narenta asks, what type of vehicle do you drive, and do you still drive shirtless? Okay, I love the Chevy Tahoe. That's my favorite. By far, my favorite vehicle is a Chevy Tahoe. I own one. It's now back in New Mexico. I don't drive shirtless in New Mexico because it was damn freezing. It was covered in snow when I left. But if it's hot, you bet I'll drive without a shirt. I like driving without a shirt and driving without shoes. It makes me feel free. Sam asks, what would you do if you saw or heard your best friend or someone close to you trying to get at your girl? Well, stop being friends with them right away. Don't mess with your friend's girl. That's just don't do it. Just let it be. Even if she's the most beautiful girl in the world and she smells like flowers and she's so pretty, you just can't help yourself. let the bitch go. That's your friend's thing. Let them do their thing. Don't get involved in that. And those things can turn deadly too. If your friend is really into her and then you try to get with her and succeed, maybe your friend will kill you. Maybe he'll kill himself. Maybe he'll kill the girl. Just don't get involved. There's 1 billion women in the world, and 0 of them are worth ending a friendship over. 0 of them. Now, if they did get together, fine. Thanks for doing me a big favor, guy. You two go off and be together. Thanks for showing me your true colors and her true colors. I'll wash my hands of both of you. Simple as that. Stan asks, what are your views on Mike Mentzer and his high-intensity training philosophy? Well, Mike Mentzer was a nut. He went crazy because he started taking Adderall or amphetamine, and he went fucking wacko. And his training philosophy is the product of a wacko mind. He built his great physique doing standard bodybuilding training, higher reps, more frequency, and then he would say, oh, you should only train once every 2 weeks. Yeah, real fucking great results you're going to get from training one muscle group once every 2 weeks. So anybody who tried his training routine, they never built any muscle at all because he was wacky. He would even, there were stories about him walking around Los Angeles, drinking his own piss, walking around on the streets, talking to himself. So the guy legitimately went crazy. I'm not projecting. The guy literally went crazy from taking, amphetamine. And he would walk around drinking his own piss and talking to himself. For years, he was like that. So that really happened to him. So maybe don't take the training advice. Even though he built one of the greatest physiques of all time, and he obviously knew what he was doing, he didn't build his physique with the same philosophy he had in his later years because he went fucking wacko. Meat Saved My Health asks, what does a typical Victor Pride cheat meal look like? Well, when I have a cheat meal, I just eat whatever I want. Whatever I want, I'll eat it. No rules. I don't feel bad about it. Anything I want to eat, I'll eat it. I'm a big fan of ice cream, so a lot of my cheat meals are actually just cheat desserts because I'll eat meat and then I'll just eat some ice cream. I am coming to the obvious conclusion that there's so much sugar in it, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So lately, my cheat meals have been more standard food. Like I had a cheat meal yesterday where I had millet, which is something I've never had in the United States before. It's like rice porridge or oatmeal porridge or wheat porridge or something. But I had millet yesterday at a restaurant. I had some kind of soup. I had some little street food sandwich. So I'll just eat whatever I want. Simple as that. Probably eat a lot of pizza without tomato sauce. I hate tomato sauce. So if I get a pizza in the States, I'll get a white sauce or no sauce. Here in Tbilisi, Georgia, they make a real great pizza called kachapuri, which is just cheese and bread. So I'll eat that every now and again. I'll eat whatever I want. That simple as that. Dimitri asks, Yo, Vic, have you ever slaughtered your own food or milking the cow or goat straight, drinking from them? No, I haven't, but I want to. And I'm going to go look at somewhere where I'm going to go look at some farmland. And this is my little dream. I've already made all the money in the world. I've traveled the world. I've done all kind of things. I want to live a natural life now. I want to be Farmer Joe now. So I'm going to go look at some places in the world where I can possibly do this. I don't really want to do it in America because there's a bunch of reasons. We don't need to get into that. But that is a dream of mine. Let's just say that. Ben asks, Vic, how do you break up with a girl you've been seeing for half a year? She's great. She hasn't done anything wrong, but I'm wanting to settle down with a woman of my own race soon. The only thing you can do is do it like pulling off a Band-Aid. Pull it off, get it done, do it now, get it over with. Say, I'm sorry, Chin Chin. We've got to break up because whatever reason. It's not you, it's me. I apologize. I'm sorry. Hope you can have a nice life. See you later. Bye-bye. That's all you can do. Terry asks, Vic, if the elites are whites, why would they be trying to destroy the white race? Ooh-hoo-hoo! That's the $1 million question right there. If the elites are whites, why would they be trying to destroy the white race? That's a great question for the next episode of the B&D podcast. We'll cover that then. Actually, in the next episode, we're not going to cover that question because I've already recorded the next episode. The next episode is just me talking a bunch of bullshit for an hour. So in 2 weeks, I will tell you if the elites aren't white, why are they trying to destroy the white race? And until then, my friendly friends, have a nice day.